And for more on Brazil's role at the CIIE, I'm joined by Charles Tang. He's chairman of the Brazil-China Chamber of Commerce. He's also a senior fellow of the Center for China and Globalization, a Beijing think tank. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Charles, China is Brazil's largest trading partner. Investment hit a 7-year high last year. Both are BRICS countries. What's the win-win for both at this Import Expo?
Yeah, I think that the CIIE is very, very important for Brazil. China is Brazil's largest trading partner, both in exports and imports. And with this CIIE, Brazil has the opportunity to showcase its various products that can be very, very interesting for the Chinese market.
Brazil is also hosting BRICS next year. It also recently just elected a new president. How do you see ties going forward between Brazil and China?
I believe that President-elect Bolsonaro will, after learning a bit more about China, he will probably change his view. And he has selected very capable ministers that will understand the importance of China to the Brazilian economy. China is not only the largest trading partner, but also the largest single foreign investor. During the worst crisis of Brazil, China had the courage to invest tremendous amount of money into Brazil, buying assets and also holding jobs during the terrible crisis that Brazil faced. So it would be very, very detrimental for both countries, especially for Brazil, if this relationship was jeopardized. I believe that President Bolsonaro, when he visits China, which I'm sure he will, and I'm sure he will have a very friendly meeting with President Xi Jinping, I'm sure that he will realize that the Cold War mentality has died a long time ago, and that China is a very, very strong market economy, and the reason for China's growth is its market economy.
And look, we know that Brazil, as you mentioned, and as we heard from our correspondent, it's a big source of soybeans for China, especially with the current U.S.-China trade war. I want to get your thoughts on that, and what other products or areas can Brazil benefit?
Well, Brazil has already benefited from, exporting 90% of its soybean crop to China. Since the American soybean is restricted by the tariffs, the Brazilian and Argentinian and other countries' soybeans that do not have a tariff has increased in value by almost the same amount of the tariff. So Brazil, that used to export like 50, 60% of its crop, is now exporting 90% of its crop to China, and also buying American soybean for its own needs.
All right, Charles Tang.
Beef, chicken, pork, Brazil is the breadbasket to the world.
Charles Tang, great to hear your insight. Thank you for joining us from Beijing.